जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदा यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। So I would like to thank His Grace Shiki Mahiti Prabhu and His Grace Vedasar Prabhu for allowing me to serve the Sunday feast and serving all the Vaishnavas here today who have gathered. I must admit that I'm a bit nervous because this is my first time on Vyasasan at ISKCON New Panihati Dham, and I feel utterly unqualified. I actually am on the other end today. I'm always sitting amongst all of y'all, very comfortable listening to Krishna Katha. But I'm used to giving Zoom classes on Zoom, but I'm getting a zoomed view of all of y'all today. And I feel like an insignificant ant who has climbed up on a tree and who's looking down at a beautiful garden of flowers and the flower-like faces of all the Vaishnavas who are here today. So, in case I make any mistake, please pray for me today so that whatever I speak should be in line with the parampara and it should be solely for the purpose of Sri Hari, Sri Guru and Sri Vaishnavas. So with this, we will begin our topic today. The topic given to me by His Grace Shiki Mahiti Prabhu was Glories of Srimati Jhanava Devi. For those who are new here and who don't know who Jahnava Devi is, she is the illustrious wife of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And those who don't know who Lord Nityananda Prabhu is, he is the incarnation of Lord Balaram in Kali Yuga. Jahnava Mata is also known as Jahnava Ishwari, and she is also known as Jahnava Devi. So, in Bhakti Ratnakar, Srila Narhari Chakravarti explains and has offered a very beautiful prayer to Jhanava Thakurani. And this prayer is described here today, it's displayed, and it's usually chanted as the Pranam Mantra of Jhanava Thakurani. So let us all repeat this. Nityananda Priyam Prema Bhakti Ratna Pradayinim Shri Janaveshwarim Vande Tapatraya Nivarinim. I worship Shri Jahnava Ishwari. She is the wife of Lord Nityananda and the giver of the jewel of Prema Bhakti. She eradicates the threefold miseries of material existence. Now, Srila Prabhupada helps us understand this a little better. So, he has explained, Srila Prabhupada, in Chaitanya Charitamrit in Adi Leela, Nityanandir Ganajata Sabhavraja Sakha Shringavetra Gopavesha Shire Shikhi Pakha. What does this mean? Nityanandir Ganejata means the associates of Lord Nityananda. Who are they? They are all the cowherd boys, Sabha Vraja Sakha. They are all the cowherd boys of Vrajabhumi. Shringa Vetra, Shringa are horns. Vetra is a stick. Gopavesha, they are all beautifully decorated with horns, with sticks, and Shire, Shikhi, Pakha, Shire is head. On their heads, they have beautiful turbans which are decorated with peacock feathers. So, this is the translation. All the associates of Lord Nityananda were formerly cowherd boys in Vrajabhumi. Their symbolic representations were the horns and sticks they carried, their cowherd dress, and the peacock plumes on their heads. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada has explained that Jahnava Mata is also within the list of Lord Nityananda's followers. She is described in the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 66 as Ananga Manjari of Vrindavan. All the devotees who are followers of Jahnava Mata are counted within the list of Sri Nityananda Prabhu's devotees. So how many of you all want to be counted as the followers of Nityananda Prabhu? Hari Bol! So we all want to be followers of Jahnava Mata in that case. So let us understand the spiritual position of Jahnava Mata. Who is Jahnava Mata in the spiritual world? In the spiritual world, Jahnava Mata is Ananga Manjari. And who is Ananga Manjari? Ananga Manjari is the little sister, the younger sister of Srimati Radharani. And she shadows Srimati Radharani everywhere, wherever Radharani goes. So she takes birth in Barsana in Srimati Radharani's family. Srimati Radharani's family consists of 3 siblings, Srimati Radharani, Ananga Manjari, and Sridama. So in the spiritual world, she has an appearance and form. She is a Manjari. So she is a very beautiful 13-year-old Manjari with a golden complexion. And she is dressed in the color of blue lotus flowers. This is how she looks. And every Manjari has services to Srimati Radharani and Krishna. So what are the services of Ananga Manjari? Ananga Manjari, she serves Radha Krishna in the form of offering. One of her services, she offers sandalwood pulp to Radha and Krishna, which is scented with camphor, and she applies it to them whenever the time arises. Another of her service is to give protection to the divine couple whenever they are asleep. And what does she protect them from? She protects them from the attack of monkeys, because they are always in cottages or nikunjas. So every time she sees a monkey, she scares them away, and she indicates other gopis also to scare them away. So that is one of her principal services. Another service of Ananga Manjari is to greet a new gopi who has entered the spiritual world and who has been just released from the material world. So somebody who has just achieved gopi bhav will first be received by Ananga Manjari. Isn't that amazing? So all of y'all are going to be greeted by Ananga Manjari at some point. She's going to be your first point of contact. And she also makes arrangement for residence of this new gopi. She's in charge of giving residence. And then she's also in charge of giving you your first service to Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. She will tell you, okay, now you have to go and do this service for Radha and Krishna from tomorrow. So she plays a very important, very powerful role in the spiritual world. And this Ananga Manjari has incarnated as Srimati Jhanava Thakurani in Chaitanya Leela. So now Ananga Manjari also has a place of her pastimes. So every Manjari or Sakhi has a place of their pastimes. And Ananga Manjari has her place in Radhakund. And in the center of Radhakund, there is a secret island. And that secret island belongs to Ananga Manjari. And that secret island is connected with a special bridge from the shore of Radhakund to the secret island. And the secret island is very beautiful. It's adorned with carved lilies and swans and emeralds and rubies and moonstones. And there's water all around it. And in the center of the secret island is a beautiful golden cottage where Ananga Manjari performs her pastimes. And then Radha and Krishna are also there at times in that beautiful cottage. And this beautiful secret island is called Swananda Sukhanda Kund. It's also called as Salila Kamala Kunj. So it has two names, Salila Kamala Kunj and Swananda Sukanda Kunj. And it resembles a 16-petaled lotus which is studded with jewels like emeralds and rubies and moonstones. So after knowing and establishing who Jahnava Mata is and her position in the spiritual world, we will do a little technical talk so y'all can pay a little close attention to this. Now when Ananga Manjari descends in the spiritual world, from the spiritual world into the material world, she expands as two personalities. So she invests her potency in two personalities. It doesn't mean that she actually descends personally from the spiritual world. She remains in the spiritual world, but she invests her amsha or a potency of hers into two personalities. And these two personalities were Vasudha Devi and Jahnava Devi. And Vasudha and Jahnava were sisters in Chaitanya Leela. And they were daughters of a very great pure personality called as Sharakela, Suryadas Sharakela. And their mother was Bhadravati. So they were born as their children. Now Gaur Ganodesh Devika states that Vasudha and Jahnava Devi are both same personalities. There's no difference between them. But they just incarnated as two personalities for Leela, for the pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So this can raise a question that how can one person become two? One person can become two. We have example in our scriptures of Haridas Thakur. He is incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj and Brahma. So they again, Brahma has invested some potency in Haridas Thakur and so has Prahlad Maharaj. Another example is Ramanand Rai. Ramanand Rai is incarnation of Vishakha Sakhi and Arjun. So also we know that when Lord Krishna decided to descend in the spiritual world, from the spiritual world to the earth, he told Brahma that please go and inform all the demigods to take birth in the families of the Yadus and invest some plenary portions, their amshas, into the new families wherever they were taking birth. So we see philosophically, we should understand that this is a science of Krishna conscious, that a personality from the spiritual world infuses or invests their potency in a personality in the material world, and they incarnate and they perform their pastimes here as a part of that personality. So, and it's important to discuss because this is the essence and it's part of the science of Krishna consciousness. Now, out of the two sisters, Jahnava Devi became more prominent than Vasudha Devi. Now, Gaur Ganadesh Deepika by Kavi Karnapur says that Jahnava Devi and Vasudha Devi were incarnation of Lord Balram's two wives. Who were they? Revati and Varuni. So they were again incarnations from the spiritual world. And again, as mentioned, they were daughters of Surya Das Sarakela and Bhadravati Devi. Little is known about the childhood of Jahnava Devi and Vasudha Devi, but it is known that they became prominent during their age of marriage. It is somewhere around that time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed Nityananda Prabhu to get married. He told Nityananda Prabhu that I understand that you're a renunciate, I understand that you're an avadut, but to set proper codes of conduct for householders and to go to the most sinful places and preach, a sannyasi cannot reach there. It is a householder who has to go, like from house to house and preach. So you be a good example. You get married and you preach in my mission. So Nityanand, it is given in Nityanand Vamsha Vistar by Vrindavan Das Thakur that the words and the conversation about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Nityanand Prabhu to get married. So he told Nityanand Prabhu, my dear Nityanand, please go to Bengal and enter householder's life. And after entering the householder's life, set proper codes of conduct and preach the mission of the Sankirtan movement in every household. So Nityanand Prabhu said, my dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're my life, you're my soul, you're my dearest friend, you're my wealth, you're my only well-wisher. with your instructions, I take these instructions on my head and I will do as you say. And it is explained that just like Nityananda Prabhu obeyed the commands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should also take the instructions of our spiritual master on our head and execute them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set proper standards of conduct even for us. And then after he decided to get married, one night in the dream of Surya Das Sharakela, Nityananda Prabhu came in his dream. And he saw that Nityananda Prabhu was sitting on a raised platform and he was decorated in beautiful garments and jewels, and beside him were his two daughters dressed as brides, Vasudha and Jahnava. So immediately Surya Das woke up and he was very worried. He says, how did I get this dream? Such an illustrious personality Nityananda Prabhu is, and how can it be that my daughters are wedded to him? So he decided to write a message to Nityananda Prabhu, and he wrote in the message that this is the dream I got and I wish that you get married to my daughters. So Nityananda Prabhu, that message was read out by Nityananda Prabhu to Advaita Acharya, to all the other associates. And as soon as this message was read out to them, all the associates were very happy and they started dancing and singing in ecstasy that yes, we approve of this. So Nityananda Prabhu, seeing the enthusiasm of the devotees, agreed for the proposal. And then they went to Surya Das's home. And when they went to Surya Das's home, Surya Das welcomed them, but after that he started showing some hesitancy in getting Nityananda Prabhu married to his daughters. And he started questioning Nityananda Prabhu that how is it that, a householder, how is it that a renunciate enter a householder's life? It is against the conduct of Varnashram Dharma. But Nityananda Prabhu didn't want to argue or question him. He just said, okay, no problem. And he walked away from there and he went back home. As soon as Nityananda Prabhu walked away from there, Vasudha Devi, who was in the room next to where the conversation was taking place, she heard the whole conversation and she saw her escort, her eternal consort walk away. And she was so sad that she fell unconscious to the floor. And all her maidservants started screaming there, oh Vasudha, what has happened to you? Vasudha, what has happened to you? But she wouldn't be revived. Nobody could revive her. And then suddenly her limbs started becoming cold and clammy, her eyes rolled upwards, and she had started breathing less, and suddenly no body part was working. So they called the Ayurvedic physician, and the physician also came there, and the physician said, nothing can be done. It looks like she's leaving her body. Please make arrangements for her departure. So the maidservants carried Vasudha Devi's body to the banks of Ganga and they started preparing for the cremation rites and the pyre. And Surya Das, when he saw all this, he realized that he had made a grave mistake by offending Nityananda Prabhu. Immediately he ran to the village, to the town, and he called Nityananda Prabhu and he informed him that as soon as you left, this is what has happened. So Nityananda Prabhu was again asked by Surya Das to come and save his daughter. And Nityananda Prabhu said, I will come only on one condition, if you marry her to me now. So happily Surya Das agreed to it. And Nityananda Prabhu and Surya Das arrived at the banks of Ganga, and when Nityananda Prabhu came near Vasudha Devi, as soon as Nityananda Prabhu came near Vasudha Devi, the breeze that touched the body of Lord Nityananda was so fragrant that it entered the nostrils of Vasudha Devi, and immediately she sprang back to life. And she stood up, and as soon as she stood up, she looked at Nityananda Prabhu and she felt a bit shy. She covered her head and offered her obeisances to Lord Nityananda. And then the marriage of Nityananda Prabhu, Vasudha and Jahnavi ensued, and it was a beautiful marriage ceremony. And it is said that the ceremony was conducted with so much pomp that somebody even donated all their property and land to facilitate this marriage. And there was Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan loudly being sung throughout the wedding. And once this was done, Vasudha and Jahnava, after they got married, they decided to live in Kandahar. So in the village of Kandahar, Nityananda Prabhu with his 2 consorts were living there and preaching the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there both the Matajis, the Vasudha Mataji and as well as Jahnava Devi, they performed their domestic duties very well. But their sole purpose of performing their duties was just to facilitate the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They assisted Nityananda Prabhu in all his preaching activities. Now after that, Vasudha Devi, she bore 2 kids. Jahnava Mata did not bear any kids. Vasudha bore 2 kids and their names were Veera Chandra and Ganga Devi, and they were incarnations of Kshirodakshay Vishnu and the river Ganga. They were personified incarnations. And it is said that with time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world. After him left Swarup Damodar Prabhu, after him Gadadhar Pandit, then Srivas Thakur also left, Advait Acharya also left, and even Nityananda Prabhu left for the spiritual world. And it is said that after everyone went, she was with the 2 children. And it is given in, it's stated by Nityananda Das in Prem Vilas that Veerabhadra, who is the son, he accepted initiation from Jahnava Devi and he became her initiated disciple. And after he became her initiated disciple, news started spreading far and wide that the great illustrious Veerabhadra has taken initiation from Jahnava Devi. And she became very famous because of this, and everybody came and started taking initiation from her because she was a Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. She was the wife of Lord Nityananda. One after the other, people poured from different villages and they started taking initiation from her. And then, because she became so prominent, Narottam Das Thakur decided to call her for one of the most beautiful festivals of his village. It is called as the Kheturi festival. Kheturi Gram is the village from where Nityananda Prabhu comes from. And Kheturi festival is by itself a full class. And it is described that at the Kheturi festival, Jahnava Mata was the most prominent leaders and the most prominent guest, and she conducted the Kheturi festival. And she presided over all the discussions of the Kheturi festival, and she made all the decisions and she planned it. And it was at Kheturi festival that Gaur Purnima was celebrated for the first time in history. And she installed 6 deities, 5 Krishna deities, and she installed the deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it was a very, very memorable festival. And after the installation, there was a very beautiful kirtan which was led by Narottam Das Thakur. And it was an epic, iconic kirtan where Jahnava Mata, just by her glance, she infused her potency in Narottam Das Thakur. And he sang so beautifully that it invoked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love and all his associates' love in the spiritual world, that they descended in that Kheturi festival kirtan and all of them danced with all the devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Nityananda Prabhu came, Srinivas Acharya came, and Srivas Thakur came, Advait Acharya came, and Swarup Damodar came, and all of them were present before all the devotees there in front of Jahnava Ma with Narottam Das Thakur, and they all danced in ecstasy to the kirtan. And when the kirtan was over, they all went back to the spiritual world. It had been many years since they had left this world, but still they descended only because Narottam Das Thakur called out with so much love. And this love-filled kirtan was because of Jhanava Thakurani. And once the kirtan was over, she had also planned a very beautiful holy festival in Kheturi Gram at that location. So what she had done is she had planned beautiful colors from various flowers, powders, and they have fragrant, all of them. And all these colors were offered by her to all the 6 deities. And she offered them, and then those colors were offered to all the Vaishnavas, and the beautiful holy festival, just like it is performed in the spiritual world with Radha and Krishna, was played by all the Vaishnavas in the presence of all the deities and Jahnava Mata. So this is about the Kheturi festival. Now, next day morning, Kheturi festival went on for 3 days. So next day morning, Jahnava Mata personally got up and she cooked for all the devotees. She cooked breakfast prasadam. She had a few helpers, but she cooked prasadam, she distributed prasadam, and with her own hand she served all the Vaishnavas. Thousands and thousands of devotees were there, and she was cooking and serving and distributing, cooking and serving and distributing relentlessly. So she was exemplary in her etiquette as a Vaishnava also. And then 3 days went by and Kheturi festival was in full swing. And at the end of 3 days, on the 4th day, Jahnava Mata said, and she announced to Narottam Das that I am now going to leave for Vrindavan. So she decided to go to Vrindavan on the 4th day. And this was a surprise to everyone, but she had decided to go. So Jahnava Mata, along with her followers, left for Vrindavan. And she wanted to go to Vrindavan to take darshan of the deities and meet all the Goswamis and Acharyas of Vrindavan. So her journey is described in the 11th wave of Bhakti Ratnakar. And it is said that she was such a pleasing personality and so attractive that as she passed through all the villages, everyone was just bowing down at her lotus feet and surrendering unto her. She would give such sweet courses of Krishna Katha that people would just fall in love with Krishna and they would just want her to be their guru. So as she went through villages, she was making disciples over disciples, just spreading the movement of Lord Chaitanya. She arrived at one village, and this village was prominent to have devotees of Chandi Devi. Chandi Devi is a ferocious form of Durga. And most of the devotees in that village were followers of Chandi Devi. But when Jahnava Mata went there, all the devotees of Chandi also started bowing down to her. They started listening to her discourses and they started liking her. And some of the envious devotees of Chandi got very upset. They said, this is not good. Who is this ordinary woman who has come there and now she's converting everyone away and she's taking them away from the worship of Chandi? This is not good. So they were so angry that they went to Goddess Chandi and they prayed that she die. And they prayed that all her followers die. And that night when they slept, Chandi Devi came in their dreams. Whose dreams? The followers of Chandi. And there she was so angry and she was screaming and she was waving a sword over their heads. And she was saying, you rascals, don't y'all know who y'all are talking about? All envious talk, and y'all are planning to kill her? I worship her myself. She is none other than the consort of Balaram. She is Jahnava Devi. Just by chanting her name, all the material miseries are fleed away. Don't you dare decide or plan to do anything to her, because she is my worshipable Lord. So as soon as they had this dream, they woke up in the morning and they ran to Jahnava Devi and the followers and they fell at her feet and they begged forgiveness. They told her that we had been planning and thinking bad about you. We've been thinking ill about you, but please forgive us. And they told that Chandi Devi came in the dream. So Jahnava Devi was very merciful. She gave them full mercy and showered them with lots and lots of blessings. And after that, she sat with them for a few hours and she instructed them about the science of devotional service, about bhakti. She instructed them about Nityananda Prabhu and told them his glories. She instructed them about the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Sankirtan movement. And she asked them and introduced them to the Yuga Dharma of chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then she decided to leave and continue her journey to Vrindavan. So as she left, all the devotees in that village were weeping and crying because she was going. They had become so attached to her just in that few days And Krishna Katha really attaches you to somebody who's so pure and exalted. You get very attracted and attached to a personality who's pure. So she was Ananga Manjari herself. No wonder they were feeling so much separation from her. And then she continued to Vrindavan. And she passed through few more villages. And then she came to another village. And then they decided to rest in the forest that night because it had gotten a little dark. And that village was known to be very notorious for a gang of dacoits. And the leader of the dacoits was so ferocious and so terrible that lands and villages over villages knew that he was one of the most dangerous persons to be near. So his gang of 30 thieves decided to rob Jahnava Mataji and her followers because they thought that she probably has a lot of valuables with her because they were carrying, bags and all packages. She had carried a lot of things from Bengal to offer to the deities in Vrindavan. She had carried jewels and clothes which she had personally made for all of them. So when they were sleeping at night, the thieves planned that when all the followers and Jahnava Devi sleep, the leader, dacoit, will indicate by a sound. And as soon as he makes the sound, they will run with swords to all these followers and Jahnava Devi and they will kill them and take away all their valuables. So the night befell and the leader of the dacoits signaled with a sound. And all the thieves, it is described, they ran. It was only 50 meters that they had to run. And they started running. And they ran and they ran. It is literally said in Bhakti Ratnakar. And they ran and they ran and they ran and they ran. And they ran all night until the sun rose. And it was bright sunlight, but they had not moved an inch from where they were running. They were still there. This is how it is. Yes, original of treadmill. So they were, when the sun rose, they got scared because people started seeing them run with the swords, but they were still there. So they realized that they had committed a very big sin. They realized that Jahnava Devi was not an ordinary personality. And now they feared that Yamraj would punish them for their sins. So they decided it's better to go and surrender to Jahnava Devi and the Vaishnavas and beg for forgiveness, because only if the Vaishnava forgives, if Jahnava Devi forgives, Yamraj will have mercy on us. So they all went, including the leader of the dacoits, and they begged forgiveness from Jahnava Devi and the Vaishnavas. And it is said that the leader of the dacoits became such a great devotee. He sat with Jahnava Devi and Jahnava Devi forgave all of them. She again showered her mercy and blessings and she said, I will forgive you on the condition that you will not repeat these activities ever again. And not only that, but you will help me facilitate, spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. So all of them promised, including the leader of the dacoits. And the leader of the dacoits became such an excellent devotee that he took initiation from her. Not only that, he became so illustrious that he started initiating Vaishnavas also. And hearing the glories of this dacoit, that, oh, this dangerous dacoit has now become a Vaishnav, and just to take his darshan, people would come from thousands and thousands and thousands of villages, and they were pouring in to take the darshan of the dacoit who had scared them for so many hundreds of years. So he became a pure devotee. And the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was spreading like wildfire under his guidance. So Jahnava Mata, she continued her onward journey to Vrindavan Dham. Now, finally, Jahnava Mata arrived at the boundaries of Sri Vrindavan Dham. She approached the borders. And when she approached the borders of Sri Vrindavan Dham, she saw a large crowd. She saw an assembly of people gathered there to greet her. So she was very overwhelmed to see so many people. So she looked at one of her followers, her associates. His name was Parmeshwari Das. And she requested him. She said, I don't know who is all here. Can you please help me understand who has come here to greet me? So Parmeshwari Das, he obeyed her commands. He folded his hands and with tears in his eyes, Parmeshwari Das, he started revealing to Jahnava Devi who had come to greet her. And then he said, there is Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who's filled with divine love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there, Jahnava Mata, you see, there is Bhugarbha Goswami and Lokanath Goswami, who are abodes of divine virtues. And there, Jahnava Mata, is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He is also waiting to take your darshan. And there, Jahnava Mata, is Madhu Pandit. Srila Madhu Pandit is waiting for your darshan. And there, Jahnava Mata, is the most illustrious saint, Srila Jiva Goswami. And the list went on and on. So Jahnava Mata was very overwhelmed. As they drew nearer and nearer to the crowd, all the acharyas and all the saints of Vrindavan, including the Goswamis, offered their obeisances to Sri Jahnava Mata. And they fell at her lotus feet. It was a very beautiful sight to witness, dear devotees. It was one of the historical meetings in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. So as they approached, all the Goswamis came forward and they requested Parmeshwara Das to introduce all the followers of Jahnava Mata to them. It's perfect Vaishnav culture. You go, you greet, and you introduce everyone to each other. And as the introduction took place, all the acharyas were greeting all the followers of Jahnava Mata, and they were embracing each other with love. This is pure Vaishnav culture. This is our culture. This is Goloka Vrindavan. With lots of love, they invited them into Vrindavan. And then Jahnava Mata was so overwhelmed to see this beautiful sight that she was shedding tears of joy. And then, after she met with all of them, she offered her obeisances to Sri Vrindavan Dham. She rolled in the dust of Sri Vrindavan Dham and she took blessings from the divine abode of Vrindavan Dham. Our approach to Vrindavan Dham should also be like this. We take it very casually. When we enter Vrindavan Dham, we go by taxi, we get down, we give a casual obeisance, and then we greet the person who has come to meet us. Hare Krishna, how are you? And then we start talking. But we don't realize the good fortune that we have received. Vrindavan Dham is a spiritual abode full of knowledge and bliss, and the pastimes of Radha Krishna are still ongoing there in the Bhaumya Vrindavan. So the right way should be, as soon as we go there, we should get down and we should pay obeisances to the Dham. We should roll in the dust of Vrindavan and smear our body with the dust of Vrindavan. And we should remember that this is the same dust on which the divine couple have tread with their lotus feet. And then someday we must pray that our bodies be drenched with the tears of love for Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. This should be our approach to Vrindavan Dham when we enter the Dham. So, after she entered Vrindavan Dham, she was greeted by Srila Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami greeted her and he had arranged for her residence. So she went and she rested for some time, and in a few hours she was greeted by Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami and by Srila Lokanath Goswami. So both of them came and they had a meeting with her. And after they met with her, she expressed her desire to go and take darshan of all the deities of Vrindavan. So along with the Goswamis, she went and took darshan of all the deities. She took darshan of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, she took darshan of Sri Sri Radha Damodar, Radha Govindaji, Radha Gokulanand, all the deities she went. And she had brought with her lots of beautiful garments for them, jewelry for them, and as she went from temple to temple taking darshan, she offered these beautiful gifts for the deities. And then not only that, with her she had brought Nityananda Prabhu's paraphernalia. Her dear beloved husband's paraphernalia was entrusted to Srila Jiva Goswami. She had brought along with her it was a shivling which Nityananda Prabhu wore in his chain. she also brought along 2 wooden sandals of Nityananda Prabhu, and she also brought along the armlets which Nityananda Prabhu wore during the Sankirtan movement. And these were in the Radha Damodar temple for a very long time, because Radha Damodar temple at that time was the headquarters of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. But as centuries passed, the sandals and the shivling was lost. But still, the armlets are preserved, and they were with the priest of Radha Damodar temple, but now it has been transferred to Nityanand Vat. And Nityanand Vat is also called as Shringar Vat, and that is the first place where Nityanand Prabhu arrived at the banks of Yamuna when he came to Vrindavan. So if you all happen to go there, you all can still take the darshan of the armlets of Nityananda Prabhu. Now news spread far and wide in Vrindavan that Jahnava Mata has come. And everyone was able to come and take her darshan, but there was one special personality who was not able to come. And that was none other than Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami came to know that she has arrived in Vrindavan. But he was so weak, his body was so emaciated, because he used to do such severe austerities that he could not go to Vrindavan. Upon hearing about his condition, Jahnava Devi decided to go to Radhakund to take his darshan and to be with him. So Jahnava Mata went to Radhakund. And as soon as she approached Radhakund, she saw Raghunath Das Goswami, and her heart was filled with ecstatic bliss. And the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami was filled with ecstatic bliss. It is Tulsi Manjari taking darshan of Ananga Manjari. What a historic meeting it was at Radhakund when they came to take darshan of each other. And they offered obeisances. Raghunath Das Goswami fell at her lotus feet, and she inquired about him and his health. And they sat there for some time, and they had deep discussions in Krishna consciousness for some time. And then after that, she went and took rest at Radhakund, where her residence was arranged by Raghunath Das Thakur. Then after that, she stayed in Radhakund for 4 days. Jahnava Mata, what did she do at Radhakund? For 4 days, she continuously cooked for the Radhakund Vasis, for all the Vraj Vasis, and all the Vaishnavas. And she served them morning, evening, and afternoon. She only went to Radhakund to serve the Vaishnavas. And then one afternoon, when she was sitting at Radhakund and performing her bhajan, she saw on the northern banks of Radhakund, she saw the form of Tribhanga Lalit Krishna. She saw the three-folded bending form of Krishna, and he was playing his flute. Everyone could not hear the flute. Only Ananga Manjari heard the flute because he was playing it only for her. And she saw that next to him was Srimati Radharani. And on both sides were Lalita and Vishakha. And then she saw the darshan of all the gopis and all the manjaris. And she envisioned this beautiful pastime. And as she was envisioning, she went into transcendental ecstasy and she fell unconscious to the floor. And then she woke up. When she woke up, Krishna had disappeared. But she got such a beautiful vision of the divine couple along with the associates. The place where Lord Krishna made his appearance for Ananga Manjari today is the place where there is the Jahnava Baitak at Radhakund. So when you all go to Radhakund, make sure you all go to Jahnava Baitak, because that is the place where she used to sit and do her bhajan. And there's a secret staircase from Jahnava Baitak that goes down to Radhakund, inside Radhakund. And that staircase is also a very special place. There she used to perform her sacred bath, Jahnava Mataji. And then she would come up and sit and do her bhajan. So do visit Jahnava Baitak. There's a beautiful picture frame of Jahnava Mataji there, where you all can sit and chant few rounds and remember this beautiful pastime, because Krishna himself appeared there at the northern banks of Radhakund to give Jahnava Mata darshan. Then she stayed there for a few days, and then she took permission from Srila Raghunath Das Goswami to do Giriraj Parikrama. See the etiquette. And only after Raghunath Das Goswami gave her blessings, she went for a Giriraj Parikrama. So she and all her followers, they went and did the parikrama of Govardhan hill, and she was in so much bliss gazing at Govardhan and taking the darshan of all the holy places, Govindakund, Manasi Ganga, and all the places. Imagine they were witnessing all the followers along with Ananga Manjari. And then after that, she decided to go back to Vrindavan. So she went back to Vrindavan, and when she went back to Vrindavan, her principal duties in Vrindavan were to cook for all the deities every day. So she would go from temple to temple, making bhoga and offering them, and then feeding that bhoga to all the Vaishnavas. Then remaining time, she also loved learning the Bhakti Shastras. She would chant, she would read, she would sing. And she was so interested in learning the Goswami literature that Jiva Goswami would sit and personally read out the Goswami literature to her every day. And this went on for many, many days. One day, she decided to go to take darshan of Shri Radha Gopinath. And when she went inside, she took darshan, she saw and she felt that Gopinath's Radharani was very small compared to Gopinath. But then, she just let that idea go. And when she slept at night, she had a dream. And Gopinath came in her dream and he told her, "You are not wrong in thinking what you were thinking. Yes, I also feel that my Radharani is very small. So please go and make an appropriate size Radharani for me when you go back to Bengal." So she promised Gopinath that she will bring a Radharani of appropriate size. And then after that, she went, when she went to Bengal, she made 3 trips to Vrindavan overall, and then in her next trip, she brought Radharani of the appropriate size. So Gopinath was installed with Radharani, which was hers, and there's a little Radharani also there. So that was a very beautiful pastime she had with Gopinath. Once she was going to visit the 12 forests of Vrindavan, and there she heard a mother and father cry very loudly. And then she went and she asked the mother, "What is the problem? Why are you crying so much?" And then she saw that their child was laying on the floor, and they said, "My child has died. He has just died." So she went and she touched the head of that child. So the mother said, "Don't touch my child. He's contaminated. You will be contaminated. He's a dead body now." So she said, "No, he's a Vrajvasi. He can never be contaminated. I will be purified just by touching him." And she touched his head. And as soon as she touched his head, the dead boy came alive. And Jahnava Mata did such a wonderful miracle that she gave that little boy back to her parents. And then she decided to return back to Bengal after staying there for few months. And when the Goswamis and all the Vrajvasis, when they came to know that Jahnava Mata was leaving, they were weeping and crying in pangs of separation from her. They just didn't want her to leave. She was so powerful. She was so respected. She was so spiritually potent that they could feel her in Vrindavan Dham as one of the principal associates of Srimati Radharani. And then she took darshan of all the deities before she left. She went to Gopeshwar Mahadev, she went to Vrinda Devi, she worshipped all of them, and then she left for Bengal. Srila Jiva Goswami, it is explained, was so sad that she was leaving for Vrindavan that he followed her all the way to Mathura. And then she left along with her followers to Bengal. She made 3 visits, and then she got Radharani back in one of her visits. And it is said that in her last visit to Vrindavan Dham, she entered into the temple of Gopinath, she took his darshan, she closed the doors behind him, and she entered into the body of Shri Gopinath. And she left for the spiritual abode. So with this, I will end today's class. So much nectar, much to speak, but we have time restraints. We will continue some other day. Thank you very much. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada.